here as Islam Makhachev, his future undeniably is in the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest lightweights of all time. No longer in the shadow of the... One of the greatest lightweights of all time. No longer in the shadow of the Nurmagomedov. It's remarkable the body of work he has put forth in the Octagon this fight.
It's so hard to beat Islam Makhachev because the expectation was on him from day one to be great. He's done it. He's done it time and time again. He's exceeded the expectation. And that's because he has all the skills. Great wrestling. Great striking. The man can do it all inside the Octagon, and that is why.
And of course, the late great Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov not here, but front of mind for all of these athletes and close to your team. Islam Makhachev steps inside the Octagon. He is ready to fight. And tonight with a chance, DC, not only to defend this belt for a third time, but to do something that his mentor and brother Khabib Nurmagomedov never did, which is to say win a 14th fight inside the Octagon.
Yeah, win 14 fights inside the Octagon and like 13 in a row. He is quickly becoming one of the guys to be considered the greatest lightweight of all time. He has all the skills. He's a tremendous wrestler, tremendous grappler, but it's his striking that I think separates him from most. He's a really high-level striker, the guy that carries a ton of confidence. I remember being in the gym with this kid from the very first day, and it always felt like an eventuality.
It's an entrance that's becoming almost iconic here at Cage Warriors. Ian Garry walking out to the Arctic Monkeys, are you mine? And I think that's a question that he asks himself every time he looks at the picture of the Cage Warriors welterweight titles. I mean, if you believe everything that Ian Garry says, that belt's practically his already. Dan, is there any chance that this young man is overconfident, if anything?
Well, it's always a possibility, but you know, you don't get very far with a lack of confidence in this sport. And you know, when it comes to throwing punches, you need confidence to commit to those things. And Rustam Akman, you've got to bear in mind, he's coming off 2 losses. He's been released from the UFC. That's not going to do wonders for his confidence. He's stepping in there against an undefeated fighter that's coming in with all of this confidence oozing out of him. I mean, that alone will put pressure on Rustam Akman because he knows he has to perform tonight. Gary's expected to perform.
Well, we've seen him be nothing but successful here on Cage Warriors in recent years. Put together a phenomenal record, and the wins just get a little bit more.
The UFC 330 main event between Islam Makhachev and Ian Machado Garry is one of the most fascinating matchups in recent years. It features 2 elite fighters with completely different styles, backgrounds, and paths to the championship stage. Islam Makhachev has established himself as one of the most dominant champions in mixed martial arts, while Ian Machado Garry has quickly become one of the fastest rising stars in the UFC. This fight isn't simply about striking versus grappling, it's about experience versus youth, proven dominance versus growing potential, and championship composure versus fearless ambition. Islam Makhachev enters this fight as the favorite, and for good reason. Over the past several years, he has defeated some of the biggest names in the sport. His wrestling, sambo, top control, and submission game have made him one of the most complete fighters in the UFC. Training under Khabib Nurmagomedov and the legendary Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov system, Islam has developed a style that is incredibly difficult to stop. Once he secures a takedown, very few opponents are able to escape his pressure. His ability to chain wrestling attacks together while maintaining control has become one of his biggest weapons. However, Ian Machado Garry is not a typical challenger. The Irish welterweight has shown tremendous confidence since entering the UFC. Garry possesses excellent footwork, sharp striking, and outstanding distance management. He prefers to fight at range, using his long reach and precise combinations to frustrate opponents. His movement allows him to avoid unnecessary exchanges while constantly landing clean shots. Unlike many young fighters, Garry remains calm under pressure and rarely allows emotions to affect his game plan. One of the biggest talking points heading into this fight is the size difference. Garry naturally competes at welterweight and enjoys advantages in height and reach. Those physical attributes could create problems for Islam during the early rounds. If Garry can keep the fight standing, his jab, straight punches, and kicking game may allow him to score points while avoiding dangerous grappling exchanges. The key for Garry will be maintaining distance and forcing Islam to chase him across the octagon. Octagon. On the other hand, Islam's greatest strength has always been closing distance. He doesn't simply shoot for takedowns from far away. Instead, he pressures opponents against the cage, forces them into uncomfortable positions, and patiently works until the opportunity appears. Once he connects his hands around an opponent's legs or body, escaping becomes extremely difficult. His ability to mix striking with wrestling keeps opponents constantly guessing. Another important factor is experience in championship fights. Islam has competed in multiple 5-round title fights against elite competition. He understands how to manage energy, make adjustments between rounds, and remain composed under pressure. Championship experience often becomes the deciding factor in close contests because experienced champions rarely panic when adversity appears. Ian Garry, however, brings something that cannot be measured by statistics: confidence. Throughout his UFC career, he has repeatedly stated that he believes he belongs among the sport's elite. Confidence can sometimes allow fighters to perform beyond expectations. Garry's willingness to take risks and trust his abilities makes him a dangerous opponent, especially in the striking exchanges where speed and timing matter more than raw power. The striking battle could be surprisingly competitive. Islam has improved significantly on the feet over the last few years. Earlier in his career, many fans viewed him primarily as a grappler. Today, he has developed solid boxing fundamentals, improved defense, and much greater confidence in striking exchanges. His knockout victory over Alexander Volkanovski demonstrated that he possesses legitimate finishing power. While Garry may have the cleaner striking technique overall, Islam is no longer someone opponents can safely ignore on the feet. Cardio may also become a deciding factor. 5-round fights demand excellent conditioning, and both men have demonstrated impressive endurance throughout their careers. Islam's wrestling-heavy style requires enormous energy, but he has consistently maintained pressure deep into fights. Garry, meanwhile, relies heavily on movement and footwork, which also consume significant energy over 25 minutes. If either fighter begins slowing down after the 3rd round, momentum could quickly shift. Defensively, both athletes have impressive qualities. Islam rarely absorbs unnecessary damage because his grappling limits opponents' opportunities to attack. Garry avoids damage through movement, head positioning, and distance control. This could lead to a tactical opening where both fighters spend the first round studying each other's reactions before increasing the pace later. For Ian Garry to win, he must execute nearly a perfect strategy. He needs to defend takedowns consistently, avoid prolonged clinch situations, circle away from the cage, and capitalize whenever Islam struggles to close the distance. Every successful takedown defense would increase Garry's confidence while forcing Islam to work harder. If Garry can repeatedly reset the fight back to striking range, he has a legitimate chance to outpoint the champion over 5 rounds. For Islam Makhachev, the path to victory appears more straightforward. Pressure Garry from the opening minute, force clinch exchanges against the fence, secure takedowns, control position, and gradually wear down the challenger. Even if early takedown attempts fail, constant wrestling pressure could reduce Garry's movement later in the fight. Fatigue changes everything in MMA, and Islam has built his career on exhausting opponents before taking complete control. Mental toughness should not be overlooked. Champions often possess another level of confidence because they have already proven themselves against elite competition. Islam has experienced championship pressure multiple times and knows exactly what it feels like to defend his title on the biggest stage. Garry has immense belief in himself, but fighting for a championship against one of the UFC's most dominant athletes presents an entirely different challenge. Fans are divided because Garry possesses attributes that could trouble Islam. His reach, striking accuracy, speed, and movement represent genuine threats. At the same time, history consistently favors elite grapplers who can impose their game plan. Wrestling has long been one of the strongest foundations in mixed martial arts, and Islam may currently be the sport's best example of that philosophy. Another interesting element is adaptability. Islam has demonstrated the ability to adjust his strategy depending on the opponent. Against dangerous strikers, he leans heavily on wrestling. Against strong grapplers, he shows greater willingness to strike. Garry has also displayed tactical intelligence, but this may be the toughest strategic test of his career. As the fight progresses into the championship rounds, every small mistake becomes magnified. A single defended takedown, a perfectly timed counter, or one successful scramble could completely change the momentum. Both men have the talent to capitalize on tiny openings, making every minute of this matchup incredibly important. So, who wins? Based on experience, championship pedigree, wrestling dominance, fight IQ, and proven success against world-class opponents, Islam Makhachev deserves to be the favorite. His ability to dictate where the fight takes place gives him a significant advantage. If he establishes his grappling early, Garry could spend much of the fight defending rather than attacking. That said, Ian Machado Garry should not be underestimated. His striking, confidence, and physical advantages make him one of the most dangerous challengers Islam has faced. If Garry successfully stuffs takedowns and keeps the fight standing, an upset becomes entirely possible. Prediction: Islam Makhachev by unanimous decision or late submission. His wrestling, positional control, championship experience, and ability to execute under pressure make him the most likely winner. Ian Garry will have moments of success on the feet, but over 5 rounds, Islam's relentless pressure and world-class grappling should prove to be the difference. No matter the outcome, UFC fans are set to witness one of the year's most compelling championship fights. Whether the champion continues his reign or the challenger shocks the world, Islam Makhachev versus Ian Machado Garry has all the ingredients to become an unforgettable main event.